Welcome back to Wrestling with Power. Mosley here, joined as always by the incomparable
Lick Vic,
who is over there flipping something around. I couldn't see what that was. He's over there.
Mr. Perfect used to do that thing. Pat McAfee recreated it a year ago, I think.
Oh,
Of course, it was not nearly as perfect as when
that's true.
Kurt would do it.
True.
Sorry, sorry to derail your intro there, but go right ahead, Mr. Mosley.
No, my intro, that was the extent of my intro. You mentioned Mr. Perfect, and I don't want to bring up any bad memories or anything here, but if you guys didn't join us for last week's episode and we had the results of Slick Vic's picks from Elimination Chamber, the streak was broken.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah. Go ahead. Good. Just twist the knife a little deeper, why don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe, Slick Vic, that was at least, I told you that I would get the info and have it today, and I didn't because I forgot. But I know that had to be, when did that start? When did the streak start? Do you remember?
Well, actually, I don't. I mean, let's see. If we go back in time, I do actually have a bunch of our previous stuff. Let's see. Do I have some of it saved right here?
WWE PLE schedule 2025. That probably wouldn't include the Saturday night's main event, but I'll try to pull this up and see.
Because I do have the Rumble as a perfect score. We'll even put an asterisk. We'll put an asterisk next to it. That's fine. Whatever.
We didn't know. I mean, that was you did get the Rumble, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had two picks to name winners, and I was right. The previous Saturday night's main event before that, I was correct. And then before that, I mean, there was John Cena's last match. That event, that was a Saturday night's main event. I got that one all right.
Yeah, this list does have those. So, I mean, if we go back to, let's say, Crown Jewel, you didn't get that one right, correct? I mean, that was part of, and then we had Saturday night's main event, vacant world championship. I don't think that was one of them. Survivor Series War Games.
Yeah.
You got that one right?
Pretty sure I did.
Did you get the Saturday night's main event prior to that right? The November 1st.
What was the main event of that card?
CM Punk versus Jey Uso for the vacant World Heavyweight title.
I'm not sure. I know I predicted that match correctly, but we'll have to dig through the archives, so to speak.
Let me see if I can pull up what the card was. Bayley defeated Raquel Rodriguez. Cody Rhodes defeated Drew McIntyre. That was a singles match for the WWE title. Jade Cargill defeated Tiffany Stratton. Singles match for the WWE Women's title. Dominic defeated Penta and Rusev by pinfall. Triple threat for the IC. And then CM Punk defeated Jey Uso.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I think I came pretty close.
I remember that. I remember some of that, but I can't say that I remember all of it. So, we'll say that at least, Vic, since Survivor Series War Games, that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4. That would have been 4 in a row. I feel like you had more than that, though, right?
I'm
gonna call it. I'm gonna call it 6. We're gonna call it 6.
6 for Slick Vic.
Yeah,
Woo!
There you go. I think it was 6. Maybe it was just 4, but because there were 2 Saturday night's main events after Survivor Series and before the Royal Rumble. So, either way, Vic, it was an impressive run. A lot of matches were called. A lot of matches, even specific moments that I don't know where you pulled it from, but You got them all right, and then Elimination Chamber comes along. It's in your hometown. I think you were feeling the pressure with all the pomp and circumstance going on in and around Chicago, Illinois. May have thrown your game off a little bit.
Yeah.
And you came up with a 50 percentile on that one. 2 out of 4 matches correct. But we got a long time to recharge the crystal ball. We got a long time before WrestleMania. 5 weeks left before WrestleMania. I think 5 weeks and some odd number of days. So it's all good. It's all good. But anyway, on to more pressing matters. Slick Vic.
Yes, Mr. Mosley.
I noticed that you are sans Gimmick tonight.
The crystal ball is lonely.
The crystal ball is lonely. We talked about this, ladies and gentlemen, off the air a little bit, how Vic is sort of running low on gimmicks because he's brought almost all of his belongings to the show at this point. And so I'm going to give him a little bit of break and start bringing a few of my own because I got some weird stuff laying around here. And why don't we take a look at my gimmick tonight? This is the first edition of Mosley's Gimmick, I believe, other than the Star Trek stuff, but that didn't count. Of course, I always have the Winged Eagle Championship back here, but I consider that part of my normal decor. This is the first official Mosley's Gimmick, and it falls apart. It's not broken. It comes off the stand, and it really needs some kind of adhesive or something to stay on this. I bought this off Etsy, and I think this is probably the only thing, to my knowledge, to my memory, that I've ever bought off Etsy. It is a 3D printed and colored Legend of Zelda 1 for the NES map.
The Overworld.
It's got all the entire Overworld. It's got the graveyard. It's got the trees everywhere. It's got all of the dungeons. And then, of course, the stand is really cool, too, that it comes on. That lettering on the front is 3D. It's like the original logo and the shield that was on the game case. But I thought this was really cool. I think I might have give like $50 for it, but, you know, it's totally worth it. They got a few more on there. I can't really name who made this right off the bat, but I'll try to look it up here in just a second. But I know they got some more. They have the Zelda 2 map, which I didn't think looked as good. This one is like spot on. They got the Ocarina of Time map. I want to say they got the A Link to the Past map too, and that one's pretty cool too. But yeah.
Looks cool, man.
The Legend of Zelda Overworld.
Can you bring it a tad closer to the camera?
I sure can, yeah.
Wish to see it in finer detail. Oh, look out.
Shit. Yeah. All right, I'm just going to take the map off of the thing.
Oh, that's cool.
So, as a matter of fact, let's bring the camera to the map. How about that? So we can hopefully see. It's
dangerous to go out alone. Take this.
Yeah, and that takes place right about here. See, that's the little cave that you go in.
Mm-hmm.
There's level 1, the tree that's in the middle of the pond back there. And you can see all of the dungeons have like the faces on them, and over there's the graveyard. And the Lost Woods and all that good stuff. And yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
I like it. Worth it.
It's good shit, pal.
Thanks, Slick Vic. I thought that would be appropriate to bring as my first gimmick, seeing as how, you know, we've been to the bottom of the well and back, so to speak, with The Legend of Zelda. And, you know, Slick Vic, my love for Legend of Zelda. And I know yours pretty well, but there are a few things that I don't know. Like, what is your favorite Zelda game?
It's probably going to be I don't know if this is a disappointing answer or not, but it's Ocarina of Time.
Okay. No, I think that's a great answer. That's one of the best games ever.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the de facto answer for like casual Zelda fans. Like, oh yeah, my favorite Zelda game is Ocarina of Time.
I don't know Vic anymore. I mean, Ocarina of Time is retro now. And even I would say some people that are probably around our age, a lot of them like A Link to the Past as well.
That was my first.
Now me, that was your first. Me personally, I've never. I won't say I haven't liked A Link to the Past because I love Link to the Past. It is one of my favorite. I don't know if it would be in my top 5 Zelda games, but it's definitely up there. And I'll probably get some heat for that. But I didn't have A Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo when I was a kid. First Zelda game I ever played was Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. My cousin had it, so every time I would go over to his house, I would play it. And I also remember another cousin of mine having a copy of Zelda 2 and trying to play it, but I couldn't figure out what to do. It's just one of those weird memories you have as a kid. But truly, the first Zelda game that I ever played was A Link to the Past, and it still remains, easily in my top 5. By the time I got around to actually playing, or wait, did I say A Link to the Past or Link's Awakening? I'm already forgetting.
You were talking about Link's Awakening, how you played at your cousin's house.
Yes. All right. Let me. Link's Awakening, first Zelda game, top 5 Zelda game. Link to the Past, didn't play it and complete it, to my memory, until it came out on the Game Boy Advance. So, I kind of see it as one of those top-down, smaller scale Zelda games. I know for its time it was massive. Right, when it came out, it was like, holy shit, like, look at all this. But, like, by the time I got around to playing that game, I had already played Ocarina and Majora's Mask and the other Game Boy games and so on and so forth. Like, I beat it way too late to really appreciate it for what it was, I think.
See, I remember playing A Link to the Past and struggling for a long time to get far. Eventually, I had help from our Hyrulean friend. Before he was writing guides, just come over to the house and, show me where to go, tell me what to get, offer me tips and tricks. But then I remember, around that same time, I remember my older brother and a friend of his, they had Zelda 2. They were playing Zelda 2 on the NES. And those two could never get far. They were terrible at the game, but it was fun watching them struggle at when they'd get to the caves and you don't have the candle, and you're just trying to make your way across. They would struggle. It was hilarious. Yeah. I thought it was funny, but that game is pretty difficult for the casual fan. Would you say?
Yeah, for sure. It's difficult for a lot of people, and there's a lot of Zelda fans that don't like it, understandably. It's not like any other Zelda game. You can compare the first Legend of Zelda to A Link to the Past. You could at one point compare A Link to the Past to Ocarina of Time, but now it's like there's 3D and then there's 2D. So A Link to the Past, Zelda 1, Oracle of Ages, Seasons, Minish Cap, all of those are sort of this top-down view Zelda game. And then you have like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and now Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess is the 3D. There's sort of two categories. Yeah. And Zelda 2 doesn't fit into either of those two categories because it's just a weird... it's a side-scrolling game. I mean, there's an overworld that you kind of walk around on, but it's more or less just to get from one point to the next. You explore, but when you get to an area, it all of a sudden takes you into this side-scrolling level of sorts, and then it becomes sort of like a Metroid type game. But it had a great soundtrack. It was challenging, but it was very rewarding to actually get past stuff in that game. And I don't know, I love it. It's one of my favorite NES games. Zelda 2 is definitely top 5 NES games for me. I like it better than the first Zelda game.
Wow,
I
that's a hot
definitely, I
take.
definitely, I'll definitely like it better than Zelda 1. I mean, Zelda 1 is what it is, but for my marbles, Zelda 2 is the better of the two.
I will say I agree with you on the soundtrack for Zelda 2. I still rock out to the Palace theme on my guitar over there. Love the
Oh
Palace
yeah,
theme.
I love I love every theme, but I really, really, really love the Great Palace theme,
Yeah,
the
that's a good one.
last level,
Absolutely.
because it's got its own music, and you just know shit's going down because it's like, oh man, like this is different music and everything. Like, what's going on? Yeah, but good stuff, man. So anyway, Slick Vic, that's Mosley's gimmick for the day. NES Zelda map, and I did say that I was going to look that up, and I feel like I need to do my due diligence in shouting out this individual who made this thing, because, go buy their stuff, I guess. I did. Let me see. There's a lot of maps on here. I literally... Oh, wait a second. I didn't type in the main thing I needed to type in. Here we go. Alright, so the creator of this is Retro Design 3D. As of right now, Slick Vic, there's only one of those NES maps left. $49. Only one left, and in 3 carts, it says. They also have the A Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This is the Light World, Overworld, and it looks very similar to that one. A little bit cheaper, actually, $46. Looks like they have sort of a shadow box of Link pulling the Master Sword out in A Link to the Past. And they have level 1. I think that's level 1. Yeah. They have an A Link's Awakening, but see, they don't have, like, this Link's Awakening deal. It's not the Overworld. It still sits on a stand like this one does, but it's just like a big mountain with the egg on top of it and like the cloud around the mountain. So, I mean, everybody's gonna like what they like. For me personally, I think that the NES map is the best of all of the little stand things that this person's made. But they got a lot of stuff on here, so there's something for everybody. I wish they would make a Oracle of Ages map. I would buy that right now.
This is going to sound terrible, but it's like when I think of that egg and Link in Link's Awakening, I'm also thinking of that egg from Survivor Series 1990.
Oh man, was it that bad?
I mean, I never beat Link's Awakening, so I couldn't even tell you what's in the egg.
It's in the egg. I tell you what's in the egg.
Go ahead.
The final nightmare is in the egg. It's basically like a shadow boss.
Okay. Not like the gobbledygooker.
No, it wasn't like the gobbledygooker. This was actually, the final boss of Link's Awakening was actually pretty cool, because, Link's Awakening was the 4th Zelda game. It came after Link to the Past. It was incredible, very impressive. Even now, much less for its time, because it was on the friggin' Game Boy. I mean, this was something people played Tetris on, and all of a sudden you got this big-ass map. You're playing a friggin' Zelda game on it, and it's crazy. But the last boss of that game, his name is Death Eye. I think it's spelled D-E-T-H and then a capital I. Death Eye. And it's basically just a shadow figure, and it has like 4 or 5 different forms that it takes on. So you're basically fighting like 4 or 5 different bosses in a row. He turns into a blob and jumps around. You hit him with magic powder. That's how you damage him. That's it. He turns into a moldworm. You know how to fight a moldworm. If you played Zelda, you know how to fight a moldworm. He turns into Aghanim from A Link to the Past.
Okay.
And you have to hit the orb back at him, and then he turns into Ganon from A Link to the Past, and he spins his trident around like this, and he conjures up some bats, you know what I'm saying? Like, and the bats go after you. Like, it's pretty cool. And then the ultimate final form is like his own thing. It's like his body, which is just like a round thing with a big giant eyeball, and these two giant arms that go back and forth and try to hit you. And that's it. And if you hit that sumbitch in the eye with the boomerang one time, you'll kill him.
Sounds like quite the epic boss battle.
Otherwise, you got to shoot him with arrows. Yeah, it was. I remember one time back at the Zelda Dungeon Marathon, the second one, I believe, that was in Mississippi. Our good friend and me were racing A Link to the Past. Or not A Link to the Past, I'm sorry. Link's Awakening DX. We were racing it. And I got all the way to the last boss first, but I ran out of arrows, and I did not have the boomerang. So all I could do was die, and in the time that I died and tried to get back to him and beat him, I got passed up and lost. It was a great race, but I lost. Good shit, pal.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. Anyway, Slick Vic, this has been Zelda with Power. Should we move on to some wrestling with power now?
Yeah, you know, it's time to, yeah, let's do it.
Time to go to work. Time to do some real work. And so this week in WWE, we're going to be talking about SmackDown and Raw. We're going to also be talking about some This Day in Wrestling history. And then I have an idea. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but hopefully it's good. We're going to do some WrestleMania card predictions. As I said, we're 5 weeks away from this event, and I think the only matches we have so far are the world title matches. So, understandably, why would they book a match now and then, you know, weeks are going to go by? But it looks like the seeds are being planted. I think maybe we can throw some predictions out there and see how right we are week to week. But, Slick Vic, if you would, let's talk about some SmackDown first.
All right, SmackDown, 6th of March in Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine. Why don't you? I don't know, the Shining.
Nice.
All right, so Randy Orton, the Viper, welcomes us to SmackDown. He's wrestled 20 WrestleManias and only main evented twice, but he's going back to the main event of WrestleMania. He talks about the praise he's gotten from legends and peers. He says it doesn't matter who he faces at WrestleMania because he's winning the world title because RK. Whoop that Trick. Trick Williams comes out. They argue about their heights. I mean, you know, how tall each person is. And then Trick talks about his lemon, pepper, and he eats an RKO before he gets the last word out. And then we got a match. We have the U.S. Open Title Challenge. It's Carmelo Hayes versus, have you heard of this guy? El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr.
No.
All right, well, you'll be forgiven for not knowing, but El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., which I'm just going to call Dr. Wagner Jr. going forward, is a AAA wrestler. And they do give us a very brief video package, but it's something to show us who he is. And he's a large dude for a luchador. He's kind of a stocky / husky kind of guy. But this is your typical U.S. title match we've had for several weeks, several months now maybe. The big difference is we got a pretty surprising challenger. And he was all right. But Mello went over with nothing but net. And that's it. I don't have anything new to add to these weekly segments for the U.S. Open title. So, yeah. I don't know.
It's ran its course a little bit. It's course a little bit. It's understandable that you don't have a lot to say about it, which is totally fine. There's a lot of matches this week on Raw that I don't have a lot to say about, but it's, you know, obviously we can only do so much with what we're given, Slick Vic. And unfortunately, these days we're not given a whole lot when it comes to WWE. Sometimes we get a lightning in a bottle, but a lot of times we get a shit turd in a bottle. And this was basically them trying to put over AAA. They're still trying to bring eyeballs to AAA. Not that it was a bad match, but it was just, you know what you're getting, kind of, with it. Now, the intro segment, I thought was good, but if not a little bit odd, because I would have expected Orton to have some kind of interaction with Drew, or, you know, something like that maybe, but instead we got Trick Williams. I'm not complaining, I like Trick Williams, but, okay. I'm here for it.
All right. We have a backstage segment with Ilya Dragunov. He says something about not being the warrior his mother raised. So he has to go back to that before he gets the U.S. title. He's got to get the Eye of the Tiger back, basically, is what I got out of that. And then Miz interrupts and says he should take the opportunity. And then Kit Wilson comes in and calls Ilya toxic. Moving on. Damian Priest and R-Truth are with Aldis, and we find out that they are teaming up tonight for tag team turmoil. Drew McIntyre comes in. They argue over Drew not staying out of other people's business. And then we have the Irresistible Forces come out for their celebration. The camera shows a little bit of the bubbly. And they say any and all challenges are welcome, and they cheers their drinks, toast, clank, whatever you want to call it. We get some fireworks, but then out comes Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. They give them a woo!
Woo!
Woo! Woo! They stake their claims to the tag titles. Kiana James and Julia come out and do the same thing, and a match is made, but not for the number one contendership. So yeah, we got a match here. So can you guess who had the most offense this match?
I wonder.
I mean, this much, actually, believe it or not, this is not the Charlotte Flair show this time, but she did most of the heavy lifting, as she usually does.
Yeah. I liked when she was laying back a little bit when she was in the tag team. That was, you know, I loved that she was still there. She was a presence, but she laid back a lot in a lot of those matches. But now, you know, now here we are. So
front and center, like,
yeah,
here we go. But it's not. It was not completely. It was not completely the Charlotte Flair show, as I said earlier. Kiana got some time to shine, and she hit what looked like to me like a standing people's elbow, where she kind of like turned her leg around and dropped an elbow. I'm like, huh. And Alexa gets the hot tag on Julia and takes over until Kiana intervenes. Eventually, Charlotte gets the win after hitting Julia with natural selection. This was a decent match. Kiana is definitely improving, but kind of makes Julia feel like an afterthought at times. Julia is the the women's U.S. champion, is taking all the falls here, and it really does feel like Kiana is the one that's given the center of attention here. Yeah,
for sure.
All right,
I don't like that either, but you know, I like Kiana James though. I mean, I think that she's been doing really well, but it's like you say, man. I don't know. Maybe maybe Julia pissed somebody off. I don't know.
Somebody backstage high up is high on Kiana, so
yeah,
she's not.
Sure.
She's not taking the falls. She's getting a lot of the offense in. Like I said, Julia was the victim of Alexa's hot tag too. So, yeah. All right. And we find out that Jelly Roll will be on SmackDown next week. Now, I know you talked about wanting to do this at the end of the show, but do you think Jelly Roll will be wrestling at WrestleMania? I think there's a good chance.
I think there's a good chance too, yeah. I'd put that in my pocket for a prediction. I don't know against who.
I think the seeds will be planted next week, for sure.
Okay. This might be a running thing that we do every week. The more information we get, and then we can look and see if we were actually right about any of these predictions.
All right. We'll get to this later. Remind me. I'm going to put a pin on this because I think I know who he might be in, having a confrontation with, so to speak.
Okay.
So Cody Rhodes tells Kathy Kelly he really, really wants to point to that WrestleMania sign. and Sami Zayn is mad that Cody's getting yet another title shot. They argue very intensely, and Sami's on the verge of cracking. He's even he's doing his weekly throwing shit around and getting mad. Okay, now
throwing a tantrum.
Then we have the tag team turmoil match, and let me start by saying I'm not a fan of this gimmick match. It's just like on Raw later on, we're going to talk about a gauntlet match. I am not a fan of these gimmick matches, so I'm putting that out there right now. All right, so we start with the Motor City Machine Guns versus Fraxium. The guns are great. Fraxium is decent. They have a decent fast-paced match, which ends rather oddly. Not sure if the timing was right, but Shelley is being pinned, and Sabin puts his foot on the ropes, and then Nathan Frazier knocks it off before the 3 count. I'm sorry, after before he knocks it off, and then the ref makes the 3 count. So yeah, it's confusing. Anyways, the Motor City Machine Guns are eliminated, and I already hate this match.
Yeah.
Next one's out are Los Garza. Fraxium hits a nice suplex super kick combination, but get eliminated rather quickly by Los Garza. The Wyatt Six are next. And now starting to check out a bit here, but nonetheless, the Wyatt Six are eliminated when the MFT interfere and Loomis gets rolled up by Birdo for the win. The last team is Damian Priest and R-Truth. It's not long before R-Truth and Priest win with a combination South of Heaven plus Attitude Adjustment combo for the pin. R-Truth still doing his Ron Cena gimmick here. And that's it. Now, this reminded me of Vince McMahon booking the tag team division. Because Vince always hated tag team. He frequently booked comedy tag teams with the belts. And here we go again. Like, Priest and Truth are the number 1 contenders for the tag titles. All right, well, because we've got a pretty good tag team division here. We talked about our love for the Motor City Machine Guns in the past.
Yeah.
We spent what have they been doing the last few weeks? They've been standing in front of Danhausen's crate and mocking Johnny Gargano instead of actually being taken more seriously. So I hope this changes soon. Anyways, what did you think of tag team turmoil?
You mentioned the match on Raw that we'll get to in a little bit with the Gauntlet. I liked the Gauntlet match. I didn't care for this tag team turmoil match. Probably for the same reasons that you didn't like it that much. Because machine guns were just shit on. And it's like you said. I mean, we said this weeks and weeks and weeks ago. The tag team division's great. I think when we did a Cooking the Books and we talked about the titles, my idea was to combine the tag team championships into one because, there's not a whole big, huge variety of like solid tag teams. Of course, why would there be when you're not going to get booked to do anything? So it's understandable, but there's enough between the two shows that I think it warrants only having one set of titles. And I think if they wanted to, that's an easy fix. That's an easy way to make the booking for that division easier. But, you called it a Vince McMahon thing. I'm starting to think it's just a WWE thing. There's tag teams over the last several decades that you can say this was a great tag team, that was a great tag team. You think about like the Road Warriors, the New Day. You think about the Bulldogs. You think there's all kinds of different tag teams that'll pop up in your head. But considering the amount of tag teams there have been over the years, no, it's not ever been booked very well. So. That's my thoughts.
Not for a long time. Not for a long time, for sure. Anyways, Randy Orton bumps into Sammy. They argue about Cody. Randy says you got to be selfish sometimes, and he believes in Sammy and tells him to listen to the voices.
Yeah.
And then in walks Alistair and Zelina, who offer Sammy some encouragement. They say it's just the nature of the beast. Out comes Rhea Ripley, who calls out Jade Cargill. Jade comes out and says she respects Rhea, but is not impressed. She compares her body to Rhea's. Says she's gonna win at WrestleMania because I'm that, censored.
Cool.
Bless you.
Thank you, Vic.
Rhea says she respects Jade and is impressed by her, but says if Jade hits her with her best shot, Rhea will get up. But there is no way Jade is going to get up from Rhea's best shot. And Jade's body is built for show, and Rhea's is built for fighting. I thought this was good shit from Rhea. I'm a big fan of Mommy. This has been well established on Wrestling with Power.
Yeah.
But I don't think Rhea is known for like strong promos. She's not Becky Lynch, so to speak. But she's all right. She's pretty good. But I thought this was one of the best Rhea Ripley promos I've heard.
I agree. Yeah. It was solid.
Yeah. Backstage, Candice is trying to motivate Johnny Gargano, and Alex Shelley's here too. But then Chris Sabin comes in, and him and Shelley argue about the match earlier, and then they leave together. Johnny gets up and says, "Let's go to the ring." Uncle Howdy will not rest until he gets his lantern back. Johnny Gargano's in the ring and says he's one of the best in the world and needs to be Johnny Wrestling again, and a challenge to anyone to come out and face him. And out comes Oba Femi.
Uh-oh.
Can you guess what happens? Oba squashes Johnny Gargano in 1 minute.
Damn.
Man. All right. How do you feel about Johnny Gargano before and after this Oba Femi match?
Dude, I hate to say it, but I think Johnny Gargano, his days are numbered. That's what I'm trying to say. His time is limited. His days are numbered. This cat will go to AEW eventually. He's being booked. He's being booked like shit. I mean, he's not been really taken seriously at all since he's been on the main roster. Johnny Gargano is not very good. I mean, like, he's funny at some of the stuff he does, but I don't think that he's like an overly like comedic type person. He's a good wrestler. He's a good in-ring wrestler, and people were really pumped about him in NXT. He comes up to the main roster, and what has he done? Absolutely nothing.
Not much. Just him and Tommaso were a thing for a while, and Tommaso's gone. Tommaso's gone, and maybe Johnny will be not long behind him.
Tommaso's gone. Tommaso, and I think Tommaso he's a better personality than Johnny for sure, and I think he had better booking or maybe better opportunities to show off some of his skills, but he even left. I don't know, man. I think that and I'm not a fan of AEW, but if somebody can go there, make a lot of money, because Tony Khan will pay him a lot of money, especially if they're next WWE guy. Hey, go make your money. He's not doing anything here. I feel like it's not a matter of if, but when. We'll see him in AEW someday.
Like, what's the payoff to depressed Johnny Gargano? Like, I'm struggling to think in my head. The crystal ball doesn't even know. Like, what's the payoff to depressed Johnny Gargano?
Man, I don't know, because something... You would think that the payoff would eventually be something that would make him not depressed, right? Maybe he wins a match and all of a sudden the tides are turning. But no, he gets Oba Femi to come out and kick his ass.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, come on.
And I think, after the match was over, he was back in the, the the plank position, whatever you want to call it, face down, laying down, head to the side. Yeah. All right. Well, backstage, Michin and B-Fab taunt Jade Cargill possibly a match next week. Well, we find out later in the night it is going to be a match next week. Nick Aldis is in the back, and here is Danhausen with his list of demands. Danhausen wants a mentor to take him to the top. Aldis introduces him to the Miz. Miz doesn't want the goth kid that nobody invited to the party. And then Danhausen says he was a jock and the prom king. Danhausen says he wants a WWE title of some sort and a TV show. And if Miz doesn't agree to that, he is cursed. And then, Miz is laughing it off, but then Danhausen tells him, remember what happened to Dom? Good stuff. Danhausen, good stuff. How do you feel about Danhausen? By the way, #1 T-shirt I heard on the WWE website. So
Yeah.
even though his debut was considered a flop, he's still a commercial success.
I think he's definitely getting over, and you can even hear when he curses somebody, like the crowd is already with it, like they already know. I think he's over. I don't know how long he can sustain it though, just being a backstage personality, because we talked about him on the last episode. Can he wrestle? Can't he wrestle? You've seen him wrestle. I've not. There's probably room for improvement in things that maybe he needs improvement on in the ring, but obviously he's not going to be like a major in-ring worker, right?
No, it's going
So
to be
it's
like
weird.
It's going to be like an R-Truth type character, I believe. I think
So too, but I think R-Truth could really go in the ring. I mean, he could wrestle. R-Truth could. Just, I'm enjoying it right now, and I'm glad that everybody else has sort of turned around after that debut and is starting to enjoy it. I just don't know how long it's going to last. So the good thing about that, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, and we're not going to have to wait too long to find out, because something like that he can't just curse somebody every week for the next 6 months. Like, it's going to wear out pretty quickly.
He's going to run out of people to curse if he does it every week.
Yeah, and then the thing too is, like, he's a baby face, right? I mean, if you want to call him anything, he's a baby face, but he's cursing people, and it's apparently affecting them. So eventually they're going to be like, this guy's an asshole, and everybody's just going to gang up on him and beat him up.
Well, he didn't curse anyone tonight. He just had, his demand housings, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here we are, the main event. This is the big match that was promoted last week at the Elimination Chamber. We have Cody Rhodes once again versus Drew McIntyre once again for the undisputed WWE title. Sorry, I had to get that out there. Here's the last note of the last line of my notes here is I'm so burnt out by these two matches, so burnt out. And it's not like these two are like like Shawn and Undertaker level chemistry either.
Right.
Anyways.
Yeah, it's not. Well, I mentioned too. Like the whole time that Drew has been the champion. It took him so long to get that title back. He finally got it back. And then what does he do? He just keeps getting involved in Cody Rhodes' business over and over and over. Like, I think his title run has kind of been trash. How many times has he defended the championship? He's been worried about doing is making Cody Rhodes' life miserable, when that made sense when he didn't have the belt, but now that he's got the belt, doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
so
the only major defense was Sammy in Saudi Arabia. The Rumble.
And he kicked Sammy's ass in Saudi Arabia, which was a surprise. I mean, Sammy had some offense. It wasn't like a squash, but considering where they were and everything, I mean, I think we said at the time Drew's going to win, but still, it was surprising to see. Anyway, continue on. Main event time.
Yeah, main event. Starts off fast and furious. Cody's chasing Drew up and down the ring, and he even hits him with the fans' beer, which I thought was funny. Drew fights back, belly-to-belly suplexes, and then a backbreaker on the apron. That looked pretty good. The hardest part of the ring. Remember that. They always like to... Well, they didn't remind us this time, but they usually like to remind us. Cody comes back with the Cody Cutter, but Drew shuts him down. Eventually, they fight on the announcer's table, and unfortunately, it gives away before any of them can do anything with it. So what do? Cody pulls out a beefy, spicy Slim Jim table, and then Drew power bombs him through it. All right, so Cody comes back. Actually, no, I should say this. Cody eats a Crossroads from Drew, and then Drew eats a Claymore kick from Cody. And then we got a ref bump, and then another Claymore from Drew. Only gets 2. and what's it called? Drew goes for a chair, but Jacob Fatu steals it. Cody hits Drew with a Cody cutter and a crossroads for the win and the title. You know, it's hard for me to really say whether I liked it or not, because like I said, I'm just so burnt out on this. I'm so over these two guys. I don't know if you have any different feelings than I do, but
I'm over it. Obviously, this was a surprise. I think that I don't know if I would have bet money on this outcome. I don't know if I agree with the outcome. I think that maybe, because I said a long time ago, Cody and Randy works, but this was something new with Randy and Drew, and then they just took it away. So it's hard to say where they're going to go from here. I was surprised by the ending, but I sort of had a feeling in the back of my head that it was going to happen, and I was glued to it the entire time. I will say this. Drew McIntyre hit an excellent Crossroads. I thought his rendition of the Crossroads was fantastic, and I thought Cody Rhodes' rendition of, what's it called?
Claymore.
The Claymore kick sucked ass. He did a terrible job making that believable.
I like the way Cody sold the Crossroads, though. He kind of got some hang time as he twisted.
Yeah.
That was fun.
It was good. Yeah.
Well, thus concludes the SmackDown from Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon, and that would have been March the 6th of 2026. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're all the way on the West Coast, and actually, you know what, Slick Vic? There's a cat in here meowing, and it's aggravating the piss out of me, so I'm about to go and figure out what the hell's going on. Let's take a pause for the cause, a brief one, if you will. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. The cat was stuck in the kitchen. Deborah's in there taking a shower, so the cat was freaking out. I had to go help the cat.
Did you give him any cookies or treats?
I didn't give him shit. I told him to get the hell out of here, and I put him outside. So he's all right. That cat's getting so fat. Let me tell you, that cat, you've seen that cat. You've seen my cat Pete, right? He's getting so fat and lazy that he hardly ever runs anywhere anymore. And when he eats, he lays down to eat. It's like it takes too much energy out of him. I don't know. It's bad. Anyway, back to some wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. We have Monday Night Raw. This was March the 9th. And it was in Seattle, Washington. Again, I mentioned we're over on the west side of the world now. They took a big trip, didn't they, Slick Vic? They were in Kentucky and Chicago and Indiana, and now they've just went all the way. They skipped everything in the middle of the U.S. and went straight over to the West Coast, it seems like. Seattle, Washington. The show starts with Adam Pearce. He comes out to the ring, and he calls out Seth Rollins, right? He's trying to get to the bottom of all the mayhem that's going on, and wouldn't you know, he gets about 30 different masked men come out at the same time. Now, this was where I almost lost my mind, because I said at Elimination Chamber when Seth Rollins came out as the actual masked man, I was like, we're done with it. Thank God we're done with it. Since then, it's been nothing but masked men. There's been more now than there ever has been before. But maybe this is a limited time thing at this point, because Rollins is actually one of the masked men. Pierce talks to him, tells him he understands what he's doing, but he warns of what will happen the day that he comes out and does his thing and doesn't get away. What's going to happen when the Vision finally gets a hold of him, right? And then we get the music and the Vision members, Logan Paul and Austin Theory, they come down to the ring. Rollins remasks, and all of the different masked men scatter. So it's like watching a cartoon or something. Like they all, you know. I remember Okay, so he puts the mask back on. I get it. Now they're all like running around, so you don't know which one's him. And then they all run off eventually. But right towards the end of that sequence, one of the masked men was this big fat dude. And it's like clearly not Seth Rollins. He's just a big fat guy. And man, I thought that was hilarious. But anyway, props to him for getting that gig. Hopefully he got paid for it. Anyway, that's pretty much the end of that segment as far as I got here. They all run away, and we are no further to getting rid of these masked men than we were before. I don't know, Slick Vic, if Seth is actually, because they said he wasn't medically cleared yet. That's one of the things that Adam Pearce said. I don't know if that's legitimate or not, because they've got him out there doing kind of minimal stuff. He's going out there and delivering stomps. Whatever. He's not doing matches. So maybe he's not fully healed yet, and this is just a way to kind of keep him on TV.
I think so.
They are going into WrestleMania, so, to build to that, makes sense to have Rollins there. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this opening segment to Raw, Vic?
The masked man gimmick stuff, yeah, like I said, it's kind of all right. We should be done with this by now. But when they're all in the ring, like scattering about, I'm like, oh my god! You ever watch any of those live action Ninja Turtles movies from like the '90s?
Yeah, I love them. Yeah,
yeah. I'm like, these are the Foot Soldiers.
The Foot Clan. Yeah,
they're totally the Foot. They're like scattering about like the Foot. So
that made me think of something.
Yeah.
How much better would this have been? And how much better would the Masked Man segment be if they would throw down a puff of smoke before they ran off?
Ninja vanish.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. That's what they need, Vic. They're too boring. They need a puff of smoke. They need Danhausen's help with this, I believe.
Well.
All right, so going forward, let's move on to the women's IC title #1 contender gauntlet. This is a match where, again, you mentioned earlier you weren't a fan of the tag team deal on SmackDown. You weren't a fan of this. I kind of like this. This was a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. Rather than it being like a 4 or 5 or 6 person match, this was who can outlast everybody. Well, of course, we see that one of the starters doesn't end up outlasting everybody, but still, I thought it was cool. It was a little bit different change of pace, so I was into it. So you got Io Sky and Lyra Valkyria. They're the two that start. And I thought there was some fairly decent back and forth. I thought they paired well. Their size is good, and I'm critical of Lyra a lot, and I'm not necessarily sold on the hype that is Io Sky, but I think together they worked really well together in this match. And Io Sky won. Io Sky won to advance.
Before you go to the next fall, was Lyra acting heelish to you in this match?
A little bit, but I didn't know if it was. I mean, I thought that she was playing to the crowd. In my opinion, that's what she was doing. She was sort of playing into the crowd because the crowd's heavily in Io's favor, and that's what she needs to do, whether she's a heel or not. Because it doesn't really fucking matter if you're a heel or not these days. The crowd's going to boo you or cheer you however they want. So that was something that I did notice, Vic, and I was like, okay, good on her. She's doing what she needs to do.
Okay.
So Io Sky wins, picks up the pin, advances. Next one out's Raquel Rodriguez. And I wrote from one good pairing to a completely opposite pairing. You got tiny little Io versus Raquel Rodriguez, and it goes about as you would expect. Raquel uses her power early. Io tries to mount a comeback, but can't. Raquel hits a shoulder tackle that sends Io flying across the ring. We go into a commercial break, come back, and Liv Morgan is out there. She's trying to interfere on Raquel's behalf, but Stephanie Vaquer comes out, and the two fight to the back. Io ends up pinning Raquel to advance further. I didn't get the spot where she actually knocked her down for the pin or however that happened. I just know that she ended up pinning her. So, Io Sky has defeated now 2 individuals. The next individual out is Ivy Nile, and I, again, don't have notes for how that went down. I just know that Ivy Nile pretty much beat Io almost instantly. I know that she came out, I turned my head, I turned back around, she pinned her. So Ivy Nile advances now, and Bayley comes out next. In my opinion, this was the best part of the whole gauntlet match, was Ivy Nile versus Bayley. I think for longer-term storytelling purposes, too, the right lady advanced, but Ivy Nile was as impressive as I've ever seen her at this point. Bayley ends up winning, advances, and then Asuka comes out, and long story short here, Bayley ends up beating Asuka. There was a moment during the Asuka bit where Kairi Sane started to try to act like she was going to get involved, and Lyra came out to Bayley's aid and kept her from interfering, and so Bayley wins and advances. Slick Vic, you said you weren't a fan of this. Was there any part of it that you actually did like, though?
I got a chuckle of Ivy Nile just coming in and pinning Io Sky like really, really quickly because, you know, Io Sky just got destroyed by Raquel.
Yeah.
But, you know, I thought the first fall was okay. The second fall was but if, you know, when I'm looking at the pool of contenders here, now who do I want to see face AJ Lee? You know, I think Bayley's the one.
And she is next week. Advances to the Intercontinental title match next week. AJ said last week that she was going to be a fighting champion. I don't see AJ losing the belt maybe until Mania, and she may even continue as the champion through Mania, because I could easily see them maybe running back Becky Lynch and AJ. I don't think that, and this is just a prediction, but I don't think that Bayley's going to win, and I think that Lyra's going to have something to do with her not winning, and I think that eventually it's going to be Lyra versus Bayley at Mania. I think that's what they're building to here. I think the seeds are being planted. If I could give an early prediction prior to when we actually go over our predictions here in a little bit. But Slick Vic, that's that. Bayley advances. I think you're right. I think out of everybody here, which, again, if Bayley doesn't win, it could have been anybody else, because like I said, AJ's going to go on to WrestleMania as the champion. But I think Bayley winning and Lyra having a part of it is to advance their storyline, not Bayley's storyline with the Intercontinental Championship or anything like that. Right. If that makes sense. All right. Going forward from that, there's a segment here where Natty's doing like an interview or something, and she's talking shit about Maxine Dupree, and then Maxine Dupree shows up out of nowhere and knocks her down and starts beating the shit out of her. With some really weird... It was a really weird beatdown because she was like hitting her with forearms. She wasn't even like punching her or anything. Did not make Maxine look good in my opinion, but it beat down nonetheless, so point taken. And then we have another backstage segment here. Well, the first one wasn't really a backstage segment, but this one is a backstage segment. The OG El Grande Americano. He's in the back, and all of a sudden Danhausen pops up. Danhausen wants to be friends or teammates or something with El Grande Americano, and he's like, I could get a mask.
He wants to try the mask.
Yeah, he's like, I could get a mask, and we could do this, and he tries to pull his mask off, and El Grande says that rule numero uno, you don't pull off a luchador's mask. And he tells Danhausen to vamonos or vamos or whatever, and Danhausen gets upset because he's telling him to leave, and he curses El Grande Americano, OG El Grande Americano. And right before the segment ends, we can see some sneaky members in the back of the hallway sneaking up. Look like they're coming towards El Grande. I think that was Los Americanos. So the fix was in, and the curse ruined him, because the next thing we see is the Intercontinental Championship match, which was supposed to be Penta, the champion, versus the OG El Grande Americano, but instead, after a unusually long, inspirational, rah-rah promo from Penta, we get the new El Grande Americano that comes out. So
I love it. Sorry. Go on.
I didn't, all right, so I understand that Penta is excited and everything, and he's happy to be where he's at, and that's cool. I like that. I like it. But the guy looks like a demon with the mask and the face paint and the eyes and the skulls and all this shit, but he acts like friggin' Super Cena or something. Like he's all, I love everybody, and I love the company, and I love the fans, and I love this, and I love that, and thank you all. And it's like, oh man, come on, he's ruining the image that I have of Penta a little bit. El Grande enters again. It's not the original, but it's the new one. Probably because the original got cursed and likely beat up. We did not find out, at least as far as I can remember, we did not find out what happened in that. But I do know that there's going to be a match next week between the two El Grandes on Raw. So for the Intercontinental Championship match, though, we actually come back from a commercial break and the match is already going on. It's the usual. There's some back and forth. Americano knocks Penta to the outside. We get a second commercial break. We come back. Penta's trying to make a comeback. El Grande hits a spine buster and a cool-ass pin for 2. He goes for a dive off the top, but gets met with double knees from Penta, followed by a very impressive springboard Mexican Destroyer for the win. So Penta retains the title. And again, we have the two El Grandes facing each other next week on Raw. Slick Vic, I'm going to pause here and get your thoughts on these last bits that we talked about.
All right. I am actually going to disagree with you on Penta's promo, because Penta delivered his lines so passionately. He's like, I love you all. I am going to be a fighting champion. I am Cero Miedo. I loved his passionate delivery. Yes, it was very humble, but it was also so fiery and angry, and not angry, but it's so, it was just so fiery. So I dug it. I dug that because he was just shouting from the heavens for his love for everybody and everything. So I dug that part.
I felt like he was almost channeling the Iron Sheik here a little bit with his antics, with the way that he was acting. It was just a little bit too much for me. I don't know. I don't want to see. It's cool. Like I said, it's cool that he's appreciative and he loves everybody and he's happy and he deserves it. He does deserve it, and good for him. But don't completely kill it for me, dude. Like, you're supposed to be a killer here. You got to have some kind of edge to you.
Well,
so
if, does the dance bother you? Would a killer strut his way to the ring? Like,
yeah, maybe.
Well, Obafemi does, his little march to the ring too.
If I seen Obafemi walking at me like that, I would shit my pants. If I seen something that looked like Penta walking, dancing towards me like that, I would shit my pants. I'd be like, oh my God, this guy's going to stab me. So either way,
the match itself, I thought the match itself was all right. It's, serviceable. Like I said, it was a decent, for lack of a better term, run of the mill match. But it wasn't terrible. And yeah, the Mexican Destroyer always looks great. So yeah,
Penta is as impressive as ever. I'll give him his props one more time. I'm glad that he's the Intercontinental Champion. I said that he should have won that title a long time ago. I'm pumped. Senior Monday Night, always, always, always working his ass off on Monday Night Raw for all of us, and yes. I appreciate that. He's great in the ring. He's always very entertaining to watch. Ludwig Kaiser, the new Americano, is great in the ring. I mean, like, he is a really kind of, and we've seen especially through this El Grande run, he's kind of a fucking workhorse, man. You can send him out there with anybody, and it's like seamless. He seems like one of those guys that you would say having a match with him is like having the night off almost. Like, it's so seamless looking. I could be wrong about that because I'm not in there with him, thank God, but still. Both of them are great, so good show. Good show. From that, we got a pre-recorded segment, Stephanie Vaquer. All right, so Liv Morgan had her pre-recorded segment where she was talking shit about Stephanie and the mud huts and all that stuff. This is the reverse of that. So Stephanie Vaquer gets her own little pre-recorded promo here, her moment to try to build up their match at Mania. She says she hides behind a trashy man. Well, Stephanie says Liv hides behind a trashy man and that she always has her friends to do her dirty work, while also saying that she could be a fierce opponent if she hadn't become so lazy. Alright. After this, we get an in-ring segment. Dom comes out to the ring accompanied by Liv and Raquel. So Dom, he is in the back before this saying he's got to get something off his chest. Finn Balor is suspiciously absent. We don't know where he's at. But Dom goes out to the ring, and he basically demands a rematch for the IC title, blames Finn Balor for losing the title. Balor's music hits, and he comes to the ring with JD McDonough. Balor says Dom is right, and it is his fault, and he apologizes. And I was instantly like, well, this is fucking lame. But then he flips the switch on us real quick. He says that he was just trying to teach Dom a lesson that if he wants to be the greatest Mysterio of all time, sometimes he has to fight his own battles. And that's when I thought, hell yeah. Balor then says maybe Ray was right and that Dom is just a spoiled little prick. Dom shoves Balor, who returns the favor with a kick to the head. Eventually, the whole Judgment Day basically gang up on Balor and beat him down in the middle of the ring. Balor starts to fight back, but Dom hits him in the face with the ring bell hammer, loads it in his shoe, and then hits a 619 to Balor with the hammer, the loaded boot. It's you know what I'm trying to say here, Slick Vic. They beat the shit out of Balor. He's out of the Judgment Day, obviously. Everybody decided what side they wanted to be on, and Balor was on the outside of that group. All right, backstage segment. Before we get to the next match, I'll go ahead and run this one down real quick. It was very brief. Adam Pearce gives Javon Evans the week off, but Kofi Kingston shows up and wants to talk to him. Kofi says he sees a lot of himself in Javon and that he could achieve his dreams with the right team around him. So Kofi's basically trying to recruit Javon into the New Day. And I'll just say that I called this with their match last week. I said that Javon's like a young Kofi Kingston, and this was a money match, and they should have got more mileage out of this. And by God, this little backstage segment just proved me right, Slick Vic. So, let me get your thoughts, sir, on the Stephanie Vaquer, if you have anything for that, promo, the whole Judgment Day thing, which was really, I mean, probably the second biggest, if not the biggest, segment on Monday Night Raw. The dissension of the Judgment Day here. What do you think?
Well, I love when Stephanie's talking about she's going to bring like the fires of hell to Liv or whatever. I didn't quite say it like that. That's more for like Kane, but you know, she's in her infierno, or so to speak, and I'm all for it, man. Good stuff from Stephanie. The Judgment Day stuff, man. We're gonna get babyface Finn, aren't we? I mean, is this not the babyface turn or what? This is like,
oh, it's happening. Yeah,
he's gonna come back next week and he's gonna be a full-fledged babyface.
He's got to be. I mean, there's no other where else is he gonna go? He's kicked out of the heel team. What else is he gonna do?
Yeah, I think I have another match for WrestleMania.
Me too.
Yeah. So that was good. I'm happy. I'm happy to see that. But although, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You know, I've never been hit with a 619 before, but Dominic loaded up his heel with the ring bell and then gave Finn a 619. Wouldn't the forefoot of the 619 hit Balor in the face?
Yeah, I think ideally it's like more of the front, like your toe area that kicks in, or the maybe even. It would be the front of your body, not the back, for sure.
Yeah. So was that a little odd to you, too, that he loaded up the
yeah.
bell?
I mean, I got the point. I guess I didn't think about it that much. I'm like, okay, they're just beating the shit out of him.
I'm overthinking it, maybe. Like I said, I've never been hit with a 619 before, so I can't really tell.
Well,
yeah, and then
I mean, there's definitely the possibility of that really hitting you and hurting, but
sure would, yeah.
Yeah, I think the point was made, and I think most people would probably look at that and say, okay, the point was they beat the shit out of Finn Balor. Even the gals beat up on him. And he got like a couple of frog splashes at the end. He's out. And I think you're completely right, Slick Vic. He's babyface Balor from now on. Let's see. We have another match here, Slick Vic. Obafemi versus Rusev. I don't have any notes for this one, but I remember it well enough. This was surprising for me because it wasn't a squash match. We're used to seeing Obafemi come out here and squash people. We're used to seeing Rusev not be able to rise to the Rusev that we once knew. This was surprising, and I liked it. At the start of the match, the two charged at each other with clotheslines, and neither could knock the other down. So they start exchanging clotheslines, they start exchanging punches, and they're just standing there wailing on each other. Eventually, Oba gets the better of this exchange, but Rusev fights back. And the match isn't a very long match. Towards the end of it, Oba does something where he kind of like throws Rusev up in the air, and he lands flat back on the ring. And he follows that up with his finishing move. I'm not sure what his finishing move is called, but it's essentially a sit-down last ride powerbomb.
Fall from grace.
Fall from grace, yeah. So it's a last ride, but it's a sit-down motion with a pin. But before this, he like dropped Rusev, and when Rusev hit, he didn't lay there and sell it. He like popped right back up. And then he got hit with the powerbomb. So I'm like, all right, props to Rusev. We knew he wasn't going to win, but he put up a fight, and I'm glad. So, I want to see Rusev do better. People can say what they want about the guy. I was entertained by him back when he was in WWE the first time around. I think that one of my lasting memories from that era, in WrestleMania 31, when he rode the tank to the ring, and he had Lana with him. Maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs Lana. He needs Lana back.
I could agree, man. I would like to see Lana back too. I think them two made a great pairing.
Yeah, to get to full power, he needs to have Lana back in his corner. That's what he's missing. So
yeah.
What was your thoughts on this match? Anything?
I mean, it was fine. I'm still torn whether I think it should have gone a little bit longer, because it literally went just over 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And maybe this is to hide some of Obafemi's weaknesses. Maybe we don't want to see Obafemi in the longer matches. I don't know. I thought it was fine. I don't have any major complaints. I'm just kind of thinking, I'm looking back and I'm like, man, Rusev used to be advertised as a killer.
Yeah.
He's fighting Obafemi, who's their current killer. Could he have gone longer than 3 minutes? I think so.
I'm with you. I think that if Oba can pull it off, there's no question that Rusev can pull it off. If Oba could pull it off,
yeah,
I would watch these guys for 30 minutes. I thought, I was pumped about this, man. It was a good match. This is two friggin' powerhouses going at each other.
It's what we call a good old-fashioned hoss fight.
A good old-fashioned slobber knocker, ladies and gentlemen.
Or as Big E would say, two meaty men slapping meat.
I don't know about all that, but now I can tell you this. In my kayfabe mind, I chalked it up to, okay, Oba, they were both shooting at each other, and Oba fucking landed his bullet first. So, yeah, Rusev got pinned, he got knocked out with the finisher, he got pinned, it's understandable. But yeah, I think that he could go for a lot longer, and I wish he would. I wish they'd build Rusev back up. and he wouldn't be constantly losing, and that he'd be a threat. But we'll have to see where it goes. I'm not sure about his future right now. After this, Slick Vic, we pretty much end Raw with the in-ring segment between Punk and the Usos. I don't have any specific notes for that. Hoping you can help me out with that, because after the Obafemi deal, I stepped out to take a shower, forgot to pause the thing, and then when I came back, I was ready to go to bed. So I never did catch that. I caught the end of it, where it seemed like one of the Usos had knocked Punk down. Can you fill us in on what took place during this promo?
Well, basically, the Usos kind of gave CM Punk a receipt for him bad-mouthing their uncle. For CM Punk bad-mouthing their uncle.
Yeah, they did say earlier in the night, pretty much at the beginning, that the Usos wanted to have a word with him about that. And I was excited. I was like, ooh, this is good stuff here.
Yeah, I don't have...
Then I missed the goddamn thing.
I don't have a lot of quotes. Just like last week when we talked about Reigns and Punk, we said just go watch it because it's really good. This one is not as quotable or good, but the Usos, especially Jay, really brought the intensity. Like they wanted to, apologize, or we're gonna stomp you to next year. So it had that level of intensity where, Punk, it's 2-1, 2 against 1. Do you want to? Are you going to? You gonna go, or are you gonna make nice, or are you gonna get your ass super kicked, or your face super kicked, whatever.
Or your face microphoned.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. He got hit with a microphone, maybe, and Punk's on his ass selling it.
I caught the end of it. I was literally coming out of the bathroom and I could hear it, and it sounded like a microphone hitting something. So I assume that's what happened.
I thought it was an intense promo, worth watching, definitely worth watching. Go check it out. Not just you, Mr. Mosley, but our listeners as well. I think on the road to WrestleMania, Punk will have one-on-one matches with each of these men, or maybe a tag team match with somebody. Who are the? I don't know if the Usos have any bad. Well, they're all baby faces, so who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Good call. I think you could be right about that. I think the crystal ball is starting to work its magic a little bit, Slick Vic. But that was the end of Monday Night Raw, ladies and gentlemen. And Slick Vic, we got a couple more segments to go. Where are we going?
Let's do a pause first.
All right, we're going to take a pause for the cause again. We got a couple more segments left in this episode, a couple fun segments. So stick around. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Couple of more segments here left here at Wrestling Power, episode 31. We are going to run it back to some This Day in Wrestling History. Always a great segment, always a very educational segment for all of our viewers and even us here at Wrestling with Power. I'm glad that we're finally getting to do some of this, Slick Vic. Like I said, we've got 5 more weeks until Mania. There's nothing between now and then as far as the PLE goes, or a Saturday night's main event. We may throw a couple of things in here and there if we can fit them in, but at least as of right now, it's a pretty open road between now and then, between now and Mania, whereas we've been really busy with a lot of the PLEs and stuff lately, so I'm really happy to be able to fit some of this stuff back into the show. So, without any further ado, Slick Vic.
All right, so this day in wrestling history, we're talking March 10th. By the way, you know what today is? This is Super Mario Day.
God damn it, it is, isn't it? I should have streamed some Mario. Well, I have more important things, Wrestling with Power, of course. But normally I would be streaming some Mario today. Yes, today is Mario Day.
Happy Super Mario Day, Mr. Mosley.
Yes, happy Super Mario Day. God damn it, I should have had my gimmick. We should have... All right, we're not prepared whatsoever. Happy Mario Day, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
You know what? I got another gimmick for you real quick. Can you bring that up? Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna double down on the gimmicks today, just for Mario Day. I got a few things here. Hold on, this is special. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I spent my hard-earned platinum points on my Nintendo for these jewels right here. I think they were 1,000 points apiece, and I still had to pay shipping. But we have a metal sign. As you can see, it says My Nintendo. Of the original Mario Bros. This thing comes out of here. It's just a metal sign and a little thingy it goes in. Super Mario Brothers for the NES. We've been talking a lot of NES this episode. Right? That's cool. Yeah. These are all items that I've pulled off of my computer desk, so they're always kind of hanging out up here. We have Super Mario Brothers 2, Mario Madness. Yeah,
very nice.
Cool,
very nice. Cool. That's not Doki Doki Panic.
No, it's not. It's better. It's better. And last but absolutely not least, Slick Vic, we have one of the greatest of all time, Super Mario Brothers 3, complete with Raccoon Mario right there on the front. The Fantastic. OG NES, yes. So good stuff. Happy Mario Day, and you got a double helping of some gimmicks today from Mr. Mosley. All right, this day in wrestling history, Slick Vic.
All right, we're going back now to 12 years, to 2014. Has it really been that long? Do you remember the Yes Movement?
Yes.
Good answer.
Yes.
All right, so probably at the peak of the Yes Movement, there was this episode of Raw, which has been dubbed Occupy Raw, where Daniel Bryan got in the ring with a bunch of fans. I believe they were fans. There were a whole bunch of people wearing Yes t-shirts. Yep. And Daniel Bryan refused to leave. I believe he refused to leave the ring unless the powers that be, which were Stephanie and Triple H, I think at the time. He refused to leave unless they put him in a match or put him in the main event. Put him in the main event of WrestleMania. And
WrestleMania 30.
Yep, WrestleMania 30. And yep. I think what happened, what the gimmick was, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like Daniel Bryan had to beat Triple H, and then he would advance into the main event, which was at the time Randy Orton and Batista.
Yes.
Well, by the way, that's one of Randy Orton's main events. Man, Randy talked earlier today on SmackDown about main eventing two of them. There you go. There's one of them.
So this was a big deal because I remember it very vividly. Batista came back. He had been gone for a long time. The crowd, the fans were firmly behind Daniel Bryan. This was the whole time where it led into Stephanie McMahon infamously calling him a B-plus player. And the crowd wanted to see Daniel Bryan win the Royal Rumble in January. But instead, Batista comes back as an entrant. This might have even been Blue Tista, when he had the blue trunks and stuff on, and wins the match, wins the Rumble. So now he's going to go on and fight for the title at Mania, right? But the crowd booed the shit out of him, and then that led to, I guess, a switching of gears and the whole Occupy Raw thing, and yeah, eventually that's what happened. WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan had to beat Triple H to earn a spot in that championship match, which would turn it into a triple threat, which is what happened, and Daniel Bryan won.
I don't know if this is the earliest example. No, it's not the earliest example, because I got a funny story to tell you 20 years before this, but this is actually a really, really, really good example of the crowd forcing Creative's hand, because they did not want Daniel Bryan in the main event. They had penciled in Randy Orton versus Batista as the main event, with babyface Batista going up against heel Randy Orton. But the crowd, like you said, the crowd was firmly behind Daniel Bryan. He was the biggest babyface in the world at the time. And they just couldn't ignore all the yes chants, all the we want Bryan chants, and all the booing Batista was getting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this. I was going to say earlier, 20 years prior to this, at Royal Rumble 1994, Vince McMahon wanted Lex Luger to be his hand-picked babyface, but the crowd had chosen Bret the Hitman Hart. So at Rumble 94, they had them both go over at the same time. That's the only Rumble where it was considered a tie. And at the end of the night, they announced they first announced the winner is Lex Luger, and he got a medium pop. And then the other referee says, no, the winner is Bret Hart, and he got a huge pop. And that told everybody that told the creative team exactly what they needed to know, who was going to main event WrestleMania. And it was Bret the Hitman Hart.
Nice. That's pretty cool that happened 20 years, apart. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. How that it's like the same thing. History repeats itself. Slick Vic. Lastly,
the other this day in wrestling history I want to highlight is actually not that long ago. This is more I want to say that much more recent, but it's still 7 years now. 2019. This was the last time we saw the Shield. The last time we saw the Shield. I believe it was, I don't know if it was it was not Saturday Night Live, or it was some kind of like WWE Network special or something, or maybe just a regular pay-per-view. But anyways, the Shield had just reformed again after, countless breakups, but nonetheless, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose had finally put their differences aside for one night only, because you know why? Because Jon Moxley was on his way out of the company. That's the truth. And you know what? Looking back at that was such a weird thing, because up until that, like Michael Cole on commentary was talking about how Dean Ambrose has chosen not to renew his WWE contract, so these are going to be the last few times we're going to see him. Like, do you remember that? Do you remember them openly? No, you don't remember that? Okay.
I'll be honest with you, because I'm listening very closely to this, trying to remember something about it. The last thing that I remember Dean Ambrose doing in the WWE is when they had him like wearing that fucking gas mask and stuff. That's the last thing I remember him doing.
Yeah.
So I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, well, I remember the gas mask thing too, and he was like going out of the ring with the gas mask saying something along the lines of like, the crowd in this town stinks so much it makes me sick. I have to.
It was afraid of cross contamination and all that stuff.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, but Dean did not like that, as you'd expect. John, right. Dean, he did not like this, and
that's where he started drawing the line, where he was like, I'm not gonna stick around.
He got very lucky, so to speak. Would you consider very lucky? Because at the same time, that's when AEW had just started. And you know what? His contract was coming up. AEW came a-knocking.
He didn't, if you remember, he did not go straight to AEW. He actually went to Japan for a little while. He went to New Japan.
But John was at the first AEW event.
All In? The first All In?
No, the Double or Nothing. All In was not technically AEW at the time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. At the first AEW show, which was Double or Nothing in 2019.
Is that where he debuted?
Yeah, at the very end of the show. At the very end of the show, yeah, that's what happened. But
all I know, I remember him going to Japan because he was the first United States champion. He was the first IWGP United States champion. Right?
I don't know.
I'm gonna find out about this.
All right, while you do
we're
that,
gonna Google.
I will reminisce about the Shield, because I don't know about you, man, but the Shield really kept WWE programming afloat at certain times because I thought the Shield put on some of the best 6-man tag matches ever. These three had great chemistry, and other than that one night when Kurt Angle had to step in for Roman Reigns when they had that meningitis scare, or meningitis outbreak rather, there has never been anybody to replace the Shield. It was always those three guys, They never had any replacements. When Moxley left, they never gave anybody else a vest and said, "Hey, you're in the Shield now." It was a one night. It was a one night thing when Kurt Angle was part of the Shield. And that's because of the whole meningitis thing.
Wow.
So props to that.
Props to that. Slick Vic, I got the information. I was completely wrong. Kenny Omega was the first United States champion. But I do remember Jon Moxley winning it. He was actually the 6th United States champion and the 8th United States champion, and he had the longest reign during his second reign at 564 days. IWGP United States champion. That first time that he won it was June 5th, 2019. AEW Double or Nothing with 2019 was in May. So there you go.
My last question before we move on to the next segment, Mr. Mosley. Mm-hmm. Do you think we'll ever see Dean Ambrose back in a WWE ring?
It's hard to say. I don't think that it's going to happen I would be very surprised if it was anytime soon. Because, Jon Moxley in AEW, for better or worse, gets to do what he wants. He gets to have the types of matches he wants. He gets paid a lot of money to do it. I'm not particularly fond of it, but I don't really like his... I never thought that Jon Moxley was a good wrestler in the ring. And when he was in WWE, it was sort of a thing where I was like, this dude would do great if there was a hardcore division still. I think he would do great in that because a lot of the hardcore wrestlers, not all of them, because a good bunch of them were great wrestlers, but there were some wrestlers in WWE who were hardcore champions or in the hardcore division. Road Dogg being one, self-proclaimed not good in the ring, that because of this hardcore division was able to make a name for himself. I think if they had either brought it back or whatever the case, Dean Ambrose would have been fine and he would have been happy if he had gotten that spot. But I don't think anytime soon, but everybody ends up coming back to the WWE at some point in time. Who's to say what happens 10 years down the road when he's ready to ride off into the sunset? Wants a big payday, he's going to come back, he's going to get his Hall of Fame, whatever, maybe a Shield reunion. There's money in him coming back to the WWE, but I don't think anybody really wants it, and I don't think he wants it right now. So,
I will say this, unlike, say, Bret Hart or CM Punk, Dean Ambrose / Jon Moxley did not technically burn that bridge. He just said, "No, I'm not renewing my contract. I'm done."
Yeah.
He didn't walk out, and he wasn't part of a screw job. He literally fulfilled the dates of his contract and then did not resign.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think one day there's a chance. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there is a strong chance.
I think that when it comes to the WWE, and even when it was Vince at the helm, he's a businessman. And somewhere, maybe not right now, but somewhere down the line, there is money in Dean Ambrose coming back. How we would book it might be a different discussion for a different time, but there's money in him coming back at some point. For him, for the company, for everybody involved. It's just depends. Depends on who's willing to bend a little bit. So,
only time will tell, my friend.
Only time will tell. Well, Slick Vic, is that all we have for this day in wrestling history so far?
Let's leave it at those two. Yeah, I think those are the most you and I can dissect or divulge or relate to the most.
Good stuff. Awesome. Okay, so that was this day in wrestling history, ladies and gentlemen. We got one more brief segment, and actually, Slick Vic didn't really know that we were going to do this because I didn't know we were going to do it until right before we went on the air. But I thought it would be cool because Again, we have several weeks before Mania, and we don't have anything in between times. In other words, it's going to be a while before we get any Slick Vic's picks. So I thought it would be cool for us to have some other type of picks. And this is going to be WrestleMania card predictions. Right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Slick Vic, but we have 4 matches lined up for WrestleMania. And that's because of the Rumble winners and the Elimination Chamber winners. Right? We got the WWE Championship, which, in my opinion, is likely to be the main event of Night 1. Because I think the World Heavyweight title, CM Punk and Roman Reigns, is the biggest thing here. And I think they want to end the Night 2 show. They want to end it with that. Right? So I'm thinking that WWE title, Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton is going to go on Night 1, main event. We also have the WWE Women's Championship, which I also think would probably be Night 1. Jade Cargill, Rhea Ripley. As I just mentioned, World Heavyweight title, likely Night 2 main event, CM Punk, Roman Reigns. Women's World, likely on the Night 2, Stephanie Vicaire and Liv Morgan. And that's it. We've started to get a few feuds brewing here, and there are sort of some seeds planted, if you will, just from this week's Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. But let's take a look at it, man. I mean, what do you think, Slick Vic? Do you think that we already have the seeds planted? Can we make any predictions at this point as to matches that are likely, very likely to happen? And I would want to add, too, that if we're... this is assuming, I should say, that there will be 6 matches per night. We'll say. Could be more, but I think there's going to be at least 6 per night.
I am looking at the Wikipedia page right now, and they have 5 matches listed. The only match you missed is Brock Lesnar versus To Be Determined.
Okay, well, yeah, Brock Lesnar's definitely going to have a match. I have that under my predictions list because we don't know who he's going to face.
Let's start with that. Let's go right for the jugular.
All right, good deal.
Do you think Brock Lesnar is going to face?
Obafemi.
I 100% agree. I don't know if they'll go that way because WWE and look, go back to WrestleMania 31. They had Sting and Undertaker in the same show, and they did not book them. They did not book them against each other. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I 100% want that match. I don't know if we'll get that match because of stupid booking reasons that WWE and Real might not cover or will. We'll see.
I think that if they have that match, you know, there's a case to be made that Obafemi should win. And that if Oba isn't going to win, don't have the match. I don't believe that. I think they could have the match and Brock Lesnar win and Oba still put up a good fight, and I think it would be okay. Obviously, it's gonna put him way over if Oba was to win, but I think that because Brock Lesnar comes out, issues an open challenge, nobody's answered it yet. So yes, you're right. That is one of the matches that is confirmed, but we just don't know who he's going to face. I also want to mention that, at least as of right now, Jacob Fatu hasn't been figured into the WWE title picture. That may happen. You've said for a long time you can see that turning into like a triple threat type situation. I could even see it turning into a fatal 4-way situation between now and Mania.
Yeah.
You know, with Drew and Jacob being figured into that WWE Championship match, which I think would do a lot to improve the draw of that WWE title match. But I don't know. I'm gonna throw a random one out there and say that if we don't get Obafemi, maybe Jacob Fatu challenges Brock.
Okay. All right. That is certainly a possibility, so to speak. So I mentioned the Brock Lesnar match. Would you like to pick a next match that you predict may go through?
I'm going to say Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor.
Yes.
I think that's going to be a definite. Now, again, we got a few weeks to build to this, but there's room to build to this because Finn can fight JD. He can fight Dominic and it end in some kind of weird disqualification. And then he can fight JD. He can fight this person, that person. They can get some mileage out of this until Mania. I think they can stretch it until then. But I think that definitely, as you said earlier, Finn Balor, he's a babyface now. And he's going to come back at WrestleMania versus Dominic Mysterio. And not just Finn Balor, but the Demon Finn Balor will come back at WrestleMania.
I'm with you 100%. I was talking about this with my wife. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get Demon Balor at WrestleMania.
Yeah. All right. Great minds think alike, Slick Vic.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a random one out to you. We have the Women's Tag Team Championship with the Irresistible Forces. Now, I think this is where you throw a multi-women's match in. Like, judging by history, this is kind of what you do. Just have 4 tag teams. Maybe have Kiana James and Julia. You can have Charlotte and Alexa. Obviously, Io and Rhea Rhea's busy with Jade, so we can have maybe the Kabuki Warriors. The point is, I am predicting a 4-way women's match for the women's tag team title.
Okay. So, a 4-way, let's see, 4-way women's tag title match. Now, one thing that I will say about that, Slick Vic, is, Julie is the women's United States champion. So that would take her out of defending the United States Women's Championship at Mania, right?
Possibly.
But, on the same token, I think you're on the right path here because Julia, even though she is the Women's United States champion, is much more recognized as a tag team partner, right?
Yeah.
In that division. So, yeah, I think you're on the right path. So, yeah, that's definitely... And all the titles don't have to be on the line at Mania. No. I wish Julia was in a singles match defending that title, but that's just me, being me. So, I can't say that I wouldn't like to see that. And I think it's probably heading that way, yeah.
Because you said not every title has to be on the line, I'm just going to lead right into the next one because I don't think Carmelo Hayes will have a U.S. Open title match. He might just do it on SmackDown the night before.
Do you think it would be more interesting if he had an open challenge at Mania?
Of course, but I don't know, man. This is the U.S. title scene all that exciting and hot? Who would you like? I mean, can you think of anyone that would be the surprise entrance?
Kevin Owens.
Okay, you know who I was thinking of was Chris Jericho.
There you go. Chris Jericho would be huge. I'm just thinking Kevin Owens, comes back after whatever his injury is, and he's the open challenge at Mania.
That's a good one, too, yeah.
But yeah, Chris Jericho would be awesome. That would be great. So you think there's a possibility that Jericho will show up at Mania?
Possibly.
It's hard to predict this because Jericho's been on everybody's mind for the past, 6 months, and he hasn't shown anything about showing up in WWE.
He wasn't at the Rumble. He wasn't in the crate. When does Jericho come back? If he's going to come back, WrestleMania is as good as place as any.
And they were throwing hints left and right leading up to the Rumble. Remember that? They were saying shit like break the walls down, and the announcers and Adam Pearce and Nick, they were making these little comments, these little Jericho comments. They were playing with our emotions, Slick Vic.
Do you want to throw out the next one, or because I got one? I got another one loaded. If you want me to just keep firing off.
We'll take your. I'll give you my last one. I only have one more actually.
Go for it.
OG El Grande versus New El Grande. I know we're getting that match next week on Raw, but I don't think that it's going to be the end of that feud. And I think they could probably stretch it out until Mania. And I think Mania would be the place to have that match and to have OG. Well, let's say they have the match at Mania. OG El Grande wins and unmasks Ludwig Kaiser, thus ending the El Grande storyline, and maybe even unmasks himself, thus ending it completely.
No, I think that's actually pretty good. I think they should bill it as mask versus mask.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And your next one is?
Now this is the celebrity match.
Yes.
Jelly Roll. Does he have a one-on-one match? Does he have a tag team match? I think I think Logan Paul is going to be involved in his match.
You think he's going to fight Logan Paul at Mania?
Yeah, it'll either be one-on-one Jelly Roll versus Logan Paul, or it'll be another tag team match with Jelly Roll and some other guy versus Logan Paul and Austin Theory.
Okay. I think a tag match is more likely. We got it at SummerSlam and it was a hit. And yeah, I could see that. I would be down for that. I think that would be good for Mania.
Logan Paul teams up with Austin Theory against Jelly Roll and a mystery opponent, or
maybe Outbreak or whatever his name was from a couple of weeks ago.
Outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's a possibility.
Whatever that guy's name was.
I'd prefer they actually used a WWE wrestler, but you know, if it'll, I guess it'll get them clicks or whatever. But I do think Jelly Roll will be involved in a match at WrestleMania.
What if it's Jelly Roll, and then all of a sudden you hear the acoustics, the rumblings, the melodic wonders of Fiend by Travis Scott, and then here he comes down to
Oh man. You talk about turning Jelly Roll into a heel.
You think it'd turn him heel?
Yeah.
If it was Jelly versus Travis Scott?
Okay, if it was one-on-one, oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and Travis Scott comes back and Jelly just crushes him.
That'd be great, but I am leaning towards a tag. I think I'm a tag team match. Jelly Roll and a partner to be determined versus Austin Theory and Logan Paul.
Yeah, I think that's a hit. That's a hit right there.
Maybe even Seth Rollins?
To be determined. I mean, we don't know what Seth's status is. We don't know if he's going to come back. That was actually going to be my next question. Do you think Seth will be back in time for Mania?
Yes, I think he will be.
And then question 2 would be, how will he be figured in to Mania?
That's a good point. I have not thought about that, but one way to do that is he's already got beef with the Vision.
Yeah.
So maybe, well, I think the answer will be a little more clearer after next week's. Is it SmackDown or Raw that Jelly Roll is going to show up on? I think it's on SmackDown.
I think so, yeah. Well, the good thing about this, Slick Vic, we can do this every week up until Mania. We can just end each show with some further WrestleMania predictions. We can see what we got right, what we got wrong, and go from there. And I think this will turn into a fun little segment.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how about the men's tag team title? Right now, it is currently held by the MFT.
Yeah.
The number one contenders are Damian Priest and R-Truth. I don't think that's for WrestleMania. That could just be in a couple weeks or so.
I mean, it's a little bit early to say, but I think that why do you build the Lantern and the Wyatts and the MFTs for this long, this many weeks, without any solid resolution if you're not going to go to Mania with it?
I think this will be a gimmick match. Maybe
well, we're talking about 2 different sets of tag team titles too, right?
Well, let's see. You're right. The MFT have one.
The MFT are the
SmackDown.
SmackDown, the WWE Tag Team Champions. So you would think, all right, I'll go ahead and we'll throw that one out there. WWE Tag Team titles, MFT versus Wyatt's. Then you have the other side of that coin, the World Tag Team Champions right now. Who'd you say was the number one contenders?
Damian Priest and R-Truth.
How the fuck did that happen? What did I miss?
The tag team turmoil match? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, never mind. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought you were making this shit up. Yeah, tag team turmoil.
I wish I was.
I was asleep during that part. No, okay, so, but they are the number one contenders then for, obviously, the WWE tag team titles, but I don't think that that's going to be, that's not going to be Mania. I think it's going to be MFT versus the Wyatts. That's too good of a storyline to not put on Mania.
That's your gimmick match. The MFT versus the Wyatts. Maybe, I don't know, a Firefly Funhouse match where they get the lantern back somehow, or a lantern on a pole match.
Lantern on a pole. An Inferno match where they got to light each other on fire with the lantern. Maybe if it's the Attitude Era. Yeah, I don't even know who the other tag team champions are. Who is the World Tag Team Champions right now on Raw? I have no idea. Oh, it's the Usos. The Usos are the tag team champions.
Yeah.
I try to forget about them.
Jimmy was off TV for like a month, and we totally forgot about that they existed.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and Jay is garbage. But yeah, maybe they'll probably defend against somebody, but obviously it's too early to tell.
Okay.
So Vic, if we, what was that?
I got one more.
Yeah.
Penta. He's Intercontinental Champion.
Okay.
I think Penta has to be on the show. It's a very elaborate entrance. Who does he face?
Is it too early to say?
It's a little too early to say. I don't think it's going to be Dominic Mysterio, because I think Dom and Finn is a lock.
Okay.
I don't think, who else? Who else is a liable contender? I have to look through the Raw roster, and I will, take a peek at my notes from earlier tonight.
Yeah, we'll see how we'll see where that goes. Maybe Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
Mysterio, yeah.
That's a possibility. But yeah, you know what? I don't have an answer for this one.
So if we were to take what we've predicted here thus far, Slick Vic, and combine it with the matches that are already confirmed, that gives us the four world title matches, the Brock Lesnar match, so that's 5. Dom versus Finn, 6. El Grande versus El Grande, 7. Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Title, 8. Celebrity match, Jelly Roll involving Jelly Roll, 9. WWE Tag Titles, MFT versus Wyatt's, 10. And the IC title, Penta versus somebody, 11. Leaves room for one more match if they go for a 6-6 per night.
Well, we left out your favorite wrestler. And I'm not being, facetious when I say that.
My favorite wrestler?
Who is LA Knight going to face? Is LA Knight going to be on the card?
Yeah, I don't know, man. They've shit on LA Knight lately. I don't have any hope for him. Maybe LA Knight faces one. Well, that's the thing. LA Knight has been sort of tied in with the Vision lately.
Maybe he teams with Jelly Roll?
There you go. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be cool.
LA Knight and Jelly Roll.
LA Knight and Jelly Roll versus Logan Paul and Austin Theory. Yeah, sure. Why not? Awesome. All right, cool. That still leaves one match. And that still leaves the possibility of that one match involving Chris Jericho. So I'm going to put Chris Jericho, question. Predictions, and this is March the 10th. We will leave these predictions. Is that all you had, Slick Vic? Do you have some more?
No, that's all I got.
All right, so as of March the 10th, today, those are the predictions that we came up with. Now, we'll see how it changes week to week, because things are going to happen. We didn't mention anything about Danhausen. I think Danhausen has to be at Mania. Probably not in a match, but he'll be there.
He'll make his presence known. Somebody's getting cursed.
Somebody is going to get cursed at Mania for sure. But yeah, that's a pretty loaded card.
I have a loose prediction for Jericho.
Okay.
The Miz comes out, talks about his, MIZ thing. I forget what it stands for already. His 3 core values, blah, blah, blah. He's running his mouth, and then the lights go out. Maybe we see the sparkle jacket break the walls down, or do we hear Fozzy?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
I feel like at this point, Jericho would demand Fozzy be played as his entrance theme.
I think so too, but what is more iconic to a WWE fan? Nobody knows who the fuck Fozzy is. The Judas is more of an AEW thing. I'm not sure anybody... Would he get the same pop as if it said, break the walls down?
I don't know. Cody came back to his music. He didn't have whatever generic Stardust music he had.
You know what? Jericho reinvents himself so much. I would rather him have Judas, but I think that just the fact that he reinvents himself so much, they might be on board with that. Letting him have the Judas music. Yeah.
So that's my loose prediction. Jericho and The Miz.
Okay. That's a good one. I like that. Because that would be... Jericho isn't spring chicken anymore. If they're going to put him out there for one final run, he needs to be in matches with people who, like The Miz, who, I'll give credit where credit's due. If he goes out there with The Miz, he ain't going to get injured, and he's going to have a decent little match. So,
right. Okay.
Yeah, good call. All right. We'll see where this takes us. We'll see what happens next week on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. We're going to have some more fun segments for you guys. We're going to hit the gong. You know what time it is. It's time to get the hell out of here. One thing that I did want to mention, and I wanted to wait till the end of the show to mention it, is that we've been doing a lot of retro reviews over the past several months, and they often have to do with the upcoming PLE. The upcoming PLE is WrestleMania, and there's a lot of WrestleManias that we can review. So, if anybody wants to see any retro reviews of any WrestleManias, shout them out to us. I personally would like to do a retro review of WrestleMania 1. Let's just start with the first one. We got plenty of time. I actually started watching it the other day.
I'm with you in the sense that I would like to watch a WrestleMania from the Golden Era, the Hulkamania era, which basically is 1 through 8.
Yeah, 1 through 8, and 8's. I watched 7 and 8. Well, I watched several of them recently, but I realized I haven't watched WrestleMania 1 all the way through. When I started watching it the other day, I have watched WrestleMania 2 all the way through, and 3. And I think all the rest of them up to 8. But yeah, I'm down for that. Golden Era for sure. So anybody that, if you have any suggestions, just throw them out our way. Over on our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestlingwithpower, where you can follow. You can see us every Tuesday night, unless otherwise noted, live. And, of course, on our YouTube page, where this video and podcast will be uploaded, as well as Spotify. Over on YouTube, it's at Wrestling with Power, youtube.com/at Wrestling with Power, and Spotify, just search Wrestling with Power. And our beautiful little podcast will come right up. Slick Vic, I want to wish everybody to stay powerful, and I want you to wish them whatever the hell you want to wish them.
I respectfully wish them the best in their future endeavors, and the rest of them go to hell.
Yes. Nice. All right, we'll see you next time.
I love all our humble fans of Wrestling with Power. Wish you all each and every one of you the best in your future endeavors. None of you can go to that place where Kane and Undertaker reside.
You can go straight to parts unknown for all I care.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next time.